So Melinda, what do you want to tell us about what's been going on over the last month?
A lot of new fans on our Facebook page. During the storm events, we see a record number of people clicking in and monitoring both our Twitter feeds and our Facebook pages, and then retweeting.
StateStat is really the governor's key performance-driven system to drive state government, move the numbers in the right direction, and make sure that we're performing in a way that we should throughout every agency within state government. As much as it's a data-driven system, it's also really a personality and professional-driven system. So we meet incredibly regularly. We have relentless follow-up with all the agencies on the work that they do, and we're consistently and constantly tracking their metrics and making sure that they're hitting them on a monthly basis.
Since we were here at StateStat last month, we advertised 13 revenue increase projects. This is in addition to those we already had in the program.
Well, when Governor Malley was Mayor Malley, he started StateStat in the city, sort of borrowing from our friends in New York from CompStat. And the success that he had there in the city really made it possible to take the whole thing to the state level. I think if there's one thing that Maryland has in StateStat that nobody else has is, we saw tremendous success with the system in the biggest municipality in the state with some of the toughest problems in the state. And so the success that he had there in using it to address crime was the way that he was able to sort of take it and get the buy-in and use that executive leadership at the state level to transform it to something that works at the state level. So a lot of things in the stat world work better at the municipal level in some respects, right? There's the questions and the answers and the problems can be more binary at the municipal level. Is the garbage picked up? Is it not picked up? Is the pothole filled? Is the pothole not filled? I think when you get to the state level, it becomes much harder to say, how are we going to increase the performance level and reading levels of a third grader? At the state level, we fund education. We fund it through the state superintendent. They fund it down to the local superintendents. Then you've got the principals, then you've got the teachers, then you're the parents, then you're the student. And so taking a system like this that's about data, that's about tracking on a regular basis and showing performance and improvement gets harder and harder to do the further you are away from the actual problem. And because of his success in the city, the entire cabinet that came in with the governor knew that StateStat was going to happen. They knew that he was behind it. They knew that he was going to make sure that it was successful. And they knew that their buy-in was critical to their tenure, their success, and accomplishing the governor's goals. And as a result of that, Maryland has the best stat system at the state level in the country by far. Well, the key is having those goals. The governor has big, broad, ambitious goals at the state level. We have 16 goals that we track. And within each of those goals are tons and tons of smaller sub-goals.
While our data looks good, we're not where we want to be, and we always have opportunities to do better.
So there's really a couple different components to how StateStat works. A big key component of it is we're constantly asked, does StateStat have a huge computer system on the back end? What is it? How many servers do you have? The reality is we use Microsoft Excel to do absolutely everything. And the beauty of that is we can train absolutely anyone in the world to be a great StateStat analyst, because as long as they have a degree, which they all do, they are able to use Excel successfully and they're able to track numbers. We don't have to hire a consultant every single time we want to run a new report. We don't have to hire a new consultant every time we want to have new capabilities or new graphs or new charts. The beauty of StateStat is its simplicity. We track data, it is attention and it is focus, and it's people caring about that data and making sure that it's updated on a regular basis. In many respects, as much as StateStat is data-driven and is focused on the data, it really comes down to attention and great management, because in the end, what we do is get everyone in the room once a month. We get the right people in the room. We get them there on a really regular basis and make sure that they're being held accountable. No one likes to fail in front of their peers. No one likes to fail in front of their boss. No one likes to fail in front of their coworkers. And they know that every time they come in that room, they're going to be held accountable, not only for the work that they've done, but for what it is that they said in the last meeting they were going to get done by the meeting that they come to the next time. So if every meeting in the world, in business and in the public sector, ran like StateStat, you wouldn't need to call it a stat in some respects, right? If every meeting you started exactly where you left off, you had follow-through happen in between the meetings, that's what StateStat is. But the reality is most meetings that take place in either private or the public sector, there's a meeting, everyone agrees to some things that are going to happen, they meet again in 2 months, they spend the first 70% of that meeting talking about the things that they talked about in the last meeting, and they spend the last 30% sort of moving the ball forward. We're constantly leaving off, getting things done in between the meetings, and then starting the meetings with that relentless follow-up, making sure that we're moving the ball forward, and then we're tracking it with the data and seeing the progress reflected in the charts and the data and the numbers and the graphs that are holding the agencies accountable. The StateStat motto is the difference between a goal and a dream is a deadline.